So aloha and welcome to our attendees here in Honolulu and our online viewers from around the world for joining the East-West Center's Gals with Lake Global. Hosted at the Entrepreneurs Sandbox and in partnership with the Hawaii Technology Development Corporation and under my umbrella. We are delighted to bring together this dynamic cross-section of women, including some of Hawaii's most successful women leaders, high school students in the midst of their educational journeys, and accomplished business and social entrepreneurs from across the Asia Pacific and the United States. We hope today's informative keynote panel, open space discussions, and reception featuring savory and sweet dishes will leave you with a renewed sense of leadership, entrepreneurship, and inspiration. My name is Sarah Lamb, and I am the program coordinator for both Gals with Lake Global and the 2-week Changing Faces Women's Leadership Seminar, which brings together women innovators to enhance their skills, network, and self-efficacy, of which Gals is a small component. I'd like to open the afternoon with a few words from East-West Center's president, Suzanne Puanani Verislam. Susie?
Mahalo nui, Sarah. I so appreciate it. Aloha mai kako. For those of you here today and online, what an honor and privilege it is to be in this space with amazing women on our panel, online, in the audience, and men who support women. Thank you all for being here. You all deserve a round of applause. Those of you who don't know the East-West Center was established by the U.S. Congress in 1960 to promote better relations among people and nations of the United States, Asia, and the Pacific through cooperative study, research, and dialogue like today. And of many of our pillars that we have, one pillar is supporting good governance. Good governance in any society needs all of its people. And oftentimes, however, we only look at 50% of the population. But one fact remains that no matter where you go around the world, there are probably going to be 50% women in every single country. They will be women who make a difference, and yet oftentimes do not have the same kind of access. But we're here to say that we're here to stay, and there's so much that we need to do. I've got to say, Gals with Lay leadership, entrepreneurship, and innovation that this space inspires. And thank you to our partners who allowed for this space, for HTDC and many, many partners, or this would not be possible. People who believe that prosperous, stable societies require all of humanity, and that includes women. So I'm really excited to be here today and to hear from these amazing women, and I will stop talking and hand it over to Sarah.
Mahalo, Susie. Now I would like to also welcome to the stage our host and partner for this event, Uma Berkelman from the Hawaii Technology Development Corporation. Uma?
Aloha and welcome to the Entrepreneurship Sandbox. We at Hawaii Technology Development Corporation are thrilled to host this amazing event. Today, we celebrate the remarkable role women play in shaping the world with purpose and impact. Women bring a unique perspective, creativity, resilience to the table, driving meaningful change in everything that we do. As we strive to make a positive impact, it's crucial today more than ever to ensure that our actions are guided by strong morals and ethical principles. Women are crusaders for equality. We have power to challenge norms, break barriers, and pave the way for more inclusive and just society. By standing together and doing what is right, we create a future for this generation and the next generation where everyone has equal opportunity. We welcome you to ideate, collaborate, and build relationships today. And we thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, President Susie Verislam, who's a fearless leader, and also to Kelly. We're really, really excited to host this event today. Thank you.
Mahalo, Uma. And now to the main event. But before I do, I have to make one housekeeping note. The bathrooms are down that hallway in the back. So if you need to use the bathroom, it's in that direction. All right. So Gals of Light Global is intentionally dynamic and interactive. We will begin with a keynote panel of acclaimed women leaders from Hawaii and the Asia Pacific, followed by 30 minutes of Q&A. And then open space will follow Q&A as a unique opportunity for attendees to engage and network as peers with our keynote panelists here, the 2024 Changing Faces Women, and your fellow attendees at roundtables, and participate in an unmoderated and informal dialogue. We encourage our audience to participate in and take advantage of the access open space provides. Finally, we will close with a networking reception featuring a signature drink, as well as delicious dishes crafted by a local woman chef. Before Gals of Light Global begins, please allow me to make a few introductions. Today, we are joined by our International Changing Faces Women. Changing Faces Women, can you please raise your hand? Oh, and it includes some of them up here. I don't know if they raised their hand. Oh, yes, there is. They will be active at today's event as keynote panelists and open space roundtable facilitators. We strongly encourage you to meet and network with these inspiring women. Gals of Light Global also welcomes our Changing Faces seminar host mentors, and some of them are here today. The host mentors are a key element of the Changing Faces seminar. We carefully match each of our Asia Pacific and US entrepreneurs with women from our local community who share similar professions and skills. These women generously share their time and expertise with the Changing Faces women through workplace visits and informal mentoring sessions. We thank them for being an integral part of the seminar's success. The Changing Faces seminar also provides an opportunity to give back to our community and mentor the next generation. Earlier this week, the Changing Faces women spent the morning with students from Hawaii P20 and Gear Up Hawaii. We are delighted to include some of Hawaii's next generation here today. Finally, I just want to let you all know that we strongly encourage you to share photos and thoughts using the hashtag GalsWithLay and tagging EWC seminars or at East West Center, East.West. You know what? I should have looked that before, via Instagram. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the women leaders and social innovators who will be sharing their personal and professional stories of why, how their ideals ignited purposeful action into creating meaningful, sustainable impact, and how their core why has helped them overcome challenges, and a clear sense of purpose injects passion into their work, inspires others, and shapes their strategy, innovation, and resilience as leaders. April Day is a community organizer, campaigner, advocate, and founding executive officer of the Dodua Foundation, a nonprofit organization in Australia that provides strategic, coordinated, and culturally appropriate support for Aboriginal and Torres Strait families whose family have died in custody. Kate Logan leads the climate impact team in Hawaii for Terraformation, an organization rapidly restoring native forests to reverse climate change. Akriti Gupta is Vice President of Win Over Cancer and co-founder and CEO of CanFem, a social enterprise in India that aims to help cancer patients live their lives with dignity by providing products and services specially tailored for cancer survivors. Nikki Stepanek is a distinguished ocean athlete and the New Zealand national freediving record holder for a 200-foot dive without fins, is also founder and CEO of Freedive Safe Hawaii, a nonprofit that aims to improve the safety of the spear fishing and freediving communities in Hawaii and worldwide. Lee Willing is the founder and owner of Evie Nails LLC, a nail art and accessory company in Hawaii that utilizes the power of storytelling to uplift marginalized voices and increase inclusivity in the beauty industry. Finally, I'm delighted to introduce today's moderator, Rachel Picaro, a lifestyle host of Hi Now Daily on Hawaii News Now. Hi Now Daily celebrates the best of Hawaii, helping viewers in Ohana live their best lives by highlighting all things local, from food and fashion to the everyday heroes making an impact in Hawaii. With that, I'll hand over the program to our moderator to offer brief contextualizing remarks. Rachel?
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. And thank you all so much for allowing me to be the moderator for tonight. Honestly, when I was asked to be moderator, I completely chickened out. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna be in front of all these people who are looking back at me. And I know you might be thinking, doesn't she do that as a living every single day? But no, it's just a camera. You've got close friends, you've got a couple of people that you're just chatting with, and it's very conversational. So I was nervous, and I'm still nervous. But you know what? Tonight is all about getting out of our comfort zones and doing it and just doing it. And so I am very happy to be here with you all tonight. And as this keynote of tonight suggests, we are here to unveil their why and to discover how they transformed their purpose into impact. And, it brought me back, high school days, some 20 years ago. Yes, I am celebrating 20 years next year. And I'm so excited and fired up about tonight. But it did take me back about 20 years when my professor was like, okay, Rachel, if you want to talk one more time in my class, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm still talking, but I'm here to talk with you all about unveiling why. It is all about this focus of why. And it got me thinking, okay, when professor was like, okay, let's present the current events for today. I want the who, I want the what, where, when, why, and I want the how. Of course, I was like, easy peasy. So I've always started with the who. And in hindsight, I wish I had started with the why. And for me, I think now looking back, the why is the most important in my opinion. I feel that the why determines who belongs at the table and, who we want to be in the future. I feel that the why determines when we say enough is enough and when we stand up to the injustices, right? I want to say that the why determines where we were yesterday and where we want to be today. The why also determines the how we plan to stand up and how we plan to make a change. And I know I probably left one out. Can anybody shout that one out for me? The where. The where is where we plan to go next. And I'm so excited because we're just going to keep pushing through and going for it and doing what we do best. And we all bring something special to the table. And that's our unique qualities. That's our unique passions. And we're turning all that purpose, like we mentioned, into impact. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to this incredible hashtag Gals with Lay panel that's here tonight. And if you could all just put your hands together so that we can celebrate their incredible work thus far and all that's to come in the future. All right, now for the fun part, ladies. Okay, to start us off today, we've got April Day, the executive officer of the Dajua Foundation, and she joins us all the way from Australia. We're so happy that you made the trek here to be with us tonight. So please, if you could share with us your journey and your story.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. And as an Indigenous person from Australia, it's really important for me to make sure that I uphold cultural protocols. So I just wanted to acknowledge that we are in Hawaii and this is native land and that sovereignty was never ceded. So yeah, I am the founding executive officer of the Dajua Foundation, and we are a not-for-profit organization that supports Aboriginal families that have had their loved one killed in custody. So that's either via police or in prison. And I founded Dajua in 2020, and that was after the death of my mum, Tanya Day, in police custody in 2017. So the circumstances, and you can actually see this is my mum with her grandkids now, just so everyone knows, like, the slideshow is just a mixture of like mum with family, our protest and campaigning photos. And then there's actually some other photos of families that we've supported that have also passed away in custody. So yeah, mum was traveling on a train that's about 3-hour ride from a rural town to a city. And she had fallen asleep while she was under the influence. And the V-line, the train conductor, I have to keep remembering that I'm not back home, but the train conductor had awoken mum, and it was found that he had racially profiled mum within 60 seconds of his interaction with her. And within that 60 seconds, he had called to have her removed from the train, and she was arrested for public drunkenness. So they had placed mum in a cell, and the way that it works within the police manual is, you're meant to be physically roused every 20 to 30 minutes and go into the cell to physically do that. And they didn't actually do that at all with mum. They didn't once check on her. And because she had an underlying health condition, she had actually had a fall and hit her head, and it caused a traumatic brain bleed. So she was in hospital for 17 days, and she died 3 days before Christmas. And the thing about that day, and especially with the bias and what it is like for Aboriginal people in Australia, is that when they had arrested mum for public drunkenness and taken her to the police cell, they also got a call for a non-Indigenous woman who was causing a ruckus at a bar, and they picked her up and they drove her home safely. Like, they didn't arrest her, they didn't give her a fine. But then in that very same instance, they actually arrested my mum and didn't care for her, which, had actually led to her death. So in Australia, we have something called coronial inquest, and it's pretty much like a court proceeding where it examines Aboriginal deaths in custody. And the purpose of that is to see how they can prevent it. They can it can inform new policy reform or policies and procedures, whether it be police or ambulance or whatever it may be, with people that are first responders. And during that coronial inquest, before we had started, family-led advocacy and campaign was really the core at that and the plan that we had to achieve reform. So because mum was arrested for public drunkenness, and it's actually a discriminatory law that had been asked to be decriminalised 30 years earlier, we had chose to target to decriminalise public drunkenness. So we had campaigned for years before we had got to the coronial inquest, and yeah, we were really lucky and fortunate enough that we got the win to decriminalise public drunkenness. So now it's no longer illegal to be drunk in a public place in Australia. We also got the bid to have systemic racism included within a scope of an inquest, which had never happened before in Australia, as well as having no additional police powers. So police can't be first responders anymore, dealing with people that really need a public health approach instead of criminalisation. So when I think about Dardra and the reason why I'm here today, it is because of my mum, it's because of her legacy. It's to ensure that all of our family members have justice and accountability for what happened to them. And she was, like, as you could probably see, she was a really loving grandmother. She was really well known in community. She loved the color pink. She would wear like fur and shimmery things. And, she really put all of her everything into her community and to ensure that everyone felt loved and honored and respected. So when I was forming Dardra, I was like, it makes sense to create something that holds those same values, that is a holistic care for families, and that we have a wraparound support for our Aboriginal families that, don't have any support when we're going through this process. So all of our work is grounded in integrity and self-determination. Our board is also made up of other Aboriginal families that have had their loved ones die in custody. And everything we do is to inform systemic change. So with mum, we chose public drunkenness because that's what they arrested her for. But 30 years prior, they had also arrested her uncle for the same law, and he also died in custody. So, you see that intergenerational effect of racism within Australia. And other families also pick a reform that they want to focus on that is relevant to their families. So, we have like bail reform, we have mental health support, and we're just basically there to support them. We do it via, 3 key tasks, and that's financial support, campaign capacity building. So I guess enabling the family to learn how to campaign, how to speak to media, to then be able to go to court and go to the parliament or to speak to the Prime Minister when we're talking about what systemic change we need to see so people stop dying in custody. And peer support, deaths in custody is a massive issue in Australia. The Royal Commission to Aboriginal Deaths in Custody examined 99 deaths, and we are now at over 600 since then. So yeah, I just want to thank everyone for letting me share my story. It's been really great to connect with everyone, and I'm excited to hear what everyone else has to say.
Thank you so much, April. All right, next up, we have Kate Logan, Climate Impact Advisor of Terraformation. She joins us from the beautiful big island of Hawaii.
Mahalo, mahalo, April. That was really inspiring. Thank you. So when I reflect on my why, I go back to when I was a kid growing up. I grew up in upstate New York, and my dad was nicknamed Mr. Natural. And he took me hunting and fishing, and we would garden and grow our own food, probably about 90% of our food. And I was just this girly girl who wanted peanut butter and jelly and just like to be normal like my friends. Almost a little bit ashamed of it, but I just had this fun, amazing time when my dad would take me out. We'd wake up super early, and I just felt so special to go on these fishing trips and hunting trips. And then when I was 6, my dad was asked to design strawberry fields in Central Park, and it's a tribute to John Lennon. And so for about 1.5 years, I had this park in a park, and it was like my playground, and I would just be in awe with how beautiful nature was. And I really wanted other people to have that inspiration too. So I came to the University of Hawaii when I was 17, didn't know anybody, and studied tropical horticulture. And immediately after school, I worked at a botanical garden. It's just north of Hilo, and some people say it's one of the top 10 best in the world, and it's just magnificent, and everything is huge. And some people say it's like being in Alice in Wonderland or something. And so for 22 years, I was the director there, and I watched people just come out of that experience crying and saying how beautiful nature was. And I felt like I was making this impact on people, but not enough. And I thought, okay, I'm able to connect people to nature and that everything is connected, but what more can I do? And so I joined Terraformation after being in politics for a little bit. We're a global company that works on ecosystem restoration. And so we don't just plant trees, we don't just plant plants, but we look at a holistic ecosystem. And again, how everything is connected and everything affects each other. And so we have projects all around the world, a lot in Africa, Colombia, South America. I run the Hawaii team, and I have an amazing advantage because on my island, Hawaii Island, we have basically every landscape, every ecosystem that you can imagine. And so our projects on Hawaii are able to emulate the projects we have around the world. We're able to do research and inform our project partners around the world and really help solve bottlenecks that have to do with ecosystem restoration. And when I thought about coming here today, I thought, wow, these women are so amazing. And my colleague, I call him my work husband, said, Kate, the work we're doing is really amazing because climate change affects everyone and everyone needs to care about it. And so every day, if I can connect somebody to nature, I feel I've done my part. But I definitely think that in 10 years, we'll all feel the climate change impact. And I'm hoping that we can all start to make a difference before that, before we reach our tipping points. So mahalo for inviting me here today.
Thank you so much, Kate. I love that you both are using your why and just transforming that right there into the impact and everything that you folks are doing. And then I wanted to move over to Akriti Gupta, co-founder and CEO of CanFem. And she joins us from India. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Rachel. Namaste. Can I have my slides? Yeah. So hi, namaste to everyone. I want you all to imagine that you were 17 years old and you are 17-year-old and you have a loving family. Your sister is your sunshine, your mother is your darling, and your dad your hero. But one day your hero falls sick. It's cancer. Stage 4, 10% chances of survival. That was me at the age of 17 in 2015. And I had nothing but fear in my eyes. I was weeping, I was crying and ready to give up everything. And that's when my dad said, the next slide. So that's when my dad said, Akriti, cancer will truly impact us if we let it cut our dreams, if we let it cut our ambitions, and if we just work harder and we fly higher than we ever imagined, cancer will be just another disease. And that's what, sat with me, and it still echoes in my heart. Cancer is a different subject in India. Unlike West, it is a taboo. From hearing my friends coming to me and asking, when is your dad going to die? To my aunts saying, my mom, not to tell anyone that my dad has cancer, else no one is going to marry me, take me in the family. It's that the world wanted us to give up. They wanted us to surrender, but we chose to form a not-for-profit and help families who are going through similar journey as us to help them to win over cancer. Win over cancer is working on three approach of save, support, and survive. Save focuses upon advocacy and early detection, saving people from cancer. Support is how we can help patients to who have fallen into the trap of cancer, support their treatment, crowdfunding, emotional support. And Survive is a flagship initiative. Everyone focuses upon making a patient's life longer, but how can you help them to get back into the society with dignity? And that is when we crafted Project Garima, which literally translates to Project Dignity. So in India, we have over 1.4 million new cancer cases every year, and over 28 million people are living with cancer and beyond. 12% of them are breast cancer cases. 70% of them have to undergo mastectomy, which means one or both of your breasts are completely removed. Now just imagine a woman roaming around with just one breast. It's a huge blow on her dignity, on her self-esteem. And in India, where term breast is itself a subject of taboo, no women, talks about breast, even touching your own breast sometimes is a taboo. Just imagine the condition. The silicone-based prosthetics are extremely expensive, and the breast reconstruction rate is 0.1% or less. What to do? So my mother had knowledge of fabrics. I was a kid with full of energy. We decided to do something. We tried and tested with multiple materials. And 8 months, my father's treatment ended. And 8 months, we had developed India's first medium weight fabric based prosthetic. We have a patent on it today. It is comfortable, it gives good fit, and moreover, it costs just 1/5 of the imported alternatives. In 2020, our not-for-profit programs expanded across India. Forward to 2020, when we realized that the kind of programs we are doing, it equally is required for patients who belong from middle and high income groups. And they're willing to pay for it, but they just don't have access, or affordable solutions are not available. And that's when we also started a for-profit organization called CanFem, which is, by the way, India's first holistic non-clinical cancer care provider. So today we have impacted over 50,000 cancer patients. We have impacted over 200,000 lives via our advocacy campaigns. And our breast cancer patients share that 90% of them share an improvement in their body image, confidence. 80% share that they have been able to get back to their work, to the social spaces after our interventions. So yeah, I'm the same 17-year-old who had nothing but fear in her eyes. And today I'm across the world after traveling for 40 hours in the most beautiful city in the world. And I am in front of you guys presenting my work. So I would just like to end with a quote that my father used to say. We lost him in 2020 to COVID and after multiple relapses. He used to say, cancer is a beautiful disease. It teaches you how to live life, love life, win over cancer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akriti. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And now we are going to move over to Nikki Stepanek. Yep. All right. Now Nikki is the founder and CEO of Free Dive Safe Hawaii, and she also joins us from the big island of Hawaii. But you grew up in New Zealand. That's awesome.
I'm from New Zealand.
I love it there.
I'm going to get the clicker so I don't have to. ask someone to turn the slide on. How are we going there? Aloha, everyone. How's it going over there? Going to get the slides up? Thank you. I'm standing. I prefer to stand when I'm speaking. Okay. Freedive Safe Hawaii emerged from the pandemic, a time when the youth in Hawaii sought the ocean for subsistence and mental well-being. Food independence continues to drive the popularity of the sport in Hawaii. Freediving fatalities have been an ongoing issue in our ocean communities, accounting for nearly 1/3 of Hawaii resident ocean drownings. And while modern freediving safety education has been available throughout expensive courses, our core ocean communities, those who have been participating in the sport for generations, have not had free and equitable access to modern freediving safety education. I remember when the 2020 missing diver headlines started. We lost a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 17-year-old, and then on May 12th, 2020, Noeau Lima went missing up here on the Waianae coast. He was 15 years old when he lost his life to spearfishing. That was in 3 months. So the community cried out, somebody needed to do something about this. This was a really big problem in our community. Having been involved in freediving education for 16 years and as an ocean safety advocate, I could identify the problem that was taking our divers' lives, and I also knew the solution. I had experienced freediver blackout 5 times. Modern freediving safety education is proven to save lives. We just needed to make it free and equitable to every community. There we go. Oh, that's right. And so during my first, I was riddled with self-doubt. The prospect of starting a nonprofit seemed like a huge mission. I was a freediver, not a spearfisher. I had shot 3 manpachi in my life, these cute little red squirrel fish, but I felt bad for all 3 of them. A spearfisher, I was not. And in order to create sustainable change, I knew that I needed to start a nonprofit, and I had no background in the nonprofit sector. But my heart pushed me forward, and I decided to start Freedive Safe Hawaii. During my first year of starting this nonprofit to create change in the Hawaii Hawaii resident ocean drownings, I was riddled with self-doubt. I was looking for direction. And so I started to lean heavily on the community it was created to serve. And the dive uncles, the Hawaii youth, the bereaved families, and all of the youth were talking about Justin Lee, USA National Spearfishing Champion. So I called him up and told Justin he needed to join the team. Justin can spearfish. And this beautiful symbiosis started to happen within the community, where they were supporting me in my role and pushing me forward to embrace Freedive Safe. And so we had this great thing going, and I thought, okay, I've got to do something to help draw attention to our work. And I am an ocean athlete, having swum down to 200 feet without fins. And sorry, I'll just take a second. I thought I needed to do something to draw attention to the work that we're doing. So as a competitive freediver, it's kind of on the obscure sports. Not many people follow competitive freediving. So I needed to do something that was relatable, and I decided to paddle across the Pailolo Channel to raise awareness for freediving and spearfishing related fatalities and draw attention to our mission. That's me being relatable up there. I can tell you, having the founder of a nonprofit out there in the middle of the Pailolo Channel, drawing attention to the mission, it caught people's attention. But what it also did was it showed the community who I was and what I was willing to do because I believe that together we could create change. In order to create change in your community, you don't need to be the most qualified person in the room. You just need to be the person who steps up. And I truly believe that all of us have a unique strength within us, that when we're on a mission and we're driven by the passion and belief in what we're doing, that special strength within all of us will rise to the top and drive us home to success. There it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nikki. And now we are going to move over to Lee Willing. She is the owner of Evie Nails and joins us from Molokai. All right, take it away.
Can I get my slides up as well, please? Should I just let you know when to switch, or should I do the clicker? I don't know if I can get up and down. Velina me ke aloha e nā kama o nā kai e walu mai ale nui haha a hiki loa I ka ula kahi. Aloha mai kākou. O li hau ka ui noa no kalu kona hema mai iau a ka ke noho ne au ma puko o ma Molokai. My name is Lee Hau, and I'm the owner of Evie Nails. And it really truly is an honor to be sitting up here with all of you and listening to your stories and your purpose. It's really, really powerful. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you folks. When I first started Evie Nails, I did not have any idea where I was going with it. I didn't really have a why or a purpose. I was just like, I really like these gel nail strips, but I was really bored by the designs, and I really wanted to see something that reflected me, a Hawaiian, Chinese, Japanese haole girl from Kona, in the design, right? I just wanted something that was relatable and fit my style and just really was exciting for me to wear. So I set out to create these gel nail strips, did a bunch of research, and this was our first logo. And Evie, it means bone. And I chose that because it represented our first collection. We did shells. It also is like an antler for the deer, which we have a big deer population on Molokai. And also it's sort of like a strength and hardening. And so I chose that for our name, and that was our initial logo. And I chose Aina inspired nails. And that was because the designs were inspired by my Aina, or anything that fed me spiritually, mentally, physically. They were inspired by my community, my lahui, my country, my family, and my environment, or even like my nostalgia. And so that's where it started. And these were some of our first initial designs. And it did really well. I was really surprised by sort of the reaction to it. The first year that we launched, we made over $100,000 in sales. And I was just like, what? I was just in shock. I didn't know how people would react to it. But what really moved me was I was able to see people's reactions through our reviews on Instagram. And what really spoke to people is the designs and the stories behind them. So people felt like seen and heard. They felt that they had a product that, you know, made them like remember the 90s and like palaka style that they used to wear, or, you know, a shell that they picked up on the beach, or a cultural protocol or practice. And it recalled those memories for them, and they felt included in the products that they're buying. So because of that, I started to really craft that why, that purpose. And we started our Look Good, Do Good line. And that is where we collaborate with others. And our first collaboration was with my brother-in-law, Cullen Willing. And he wanted to share a little bit about his story of coming out. And you could read it here. I'm not going to read it because it's really long. But he sort of shared like how he felt he had to hide his identity. And then later on, he was able to gain confidence, get support around him, and really be his true self. And so we created a design around that story called Anu Inue Kaupo. It's featured here. And we're able to share that story with, you know, through social media, through the packaging. And he got so much support back. And it was beautiful for him to be seen, but also for other people to relate to his story. I mean, we kind of thought we wanted to make more of an impact. So what we decided was we would donate 30% of profits from these nails to the LGBTQ Legacy Fund of Honolulu. And so we were really able to develop a model where we could combine these collaborations and these fun designs and these powerful stories, but also make a financial impact on the community. So over 3 years in business, we've been able to pay out over $20,000 to local artists, to nonprofits, and also to just supporters in the community. And so, yeah, it's been a really successful program so far. And it really is what led me to my why. Oops, sorry. And so what I found out through this process is that through something like a seemingly like just so fun and frivolous as nails, you can actually make a really powerful impact. And we're able to, increase belonging in our communities. We're able to educate about certain stories and experiences. And we're really able to fight for social justice through nail art, which is like not what I set out to do. But really does drive the work that I do today. So our mission and our vision is that we believe in a world where like everyone feels safe and confident enough to be exactly who they are, to have self-expression. And we do that by creating products that uplift their stories and that make them feel like the most confident, beautiful, and accepted version of themselves. And so that's kind of my journey and where I started. So I feel like it's really important to note that you don't need to like necessarily know exactly what you're doing from the beginning. My journey really evolved and I was able to find my path and find my purpose just going through the journey. So if you guys are interested in seeing more of our stories, so a lot of our collaborators have stories online. You can always go to evnails.com and we have a whole section with a design library that tells all of the different stories that we've shared so far. So mahalo nui.
Thanks, Lihao. All right, ladies, thank you so much. That was so inspiring to hear each and every one of you talk about your stories, your journeys, and of course, how you transformed your purpose into impact. And, at this time, I've got a couple of questions. And Lihao, I have a 7-year-old daughter and we did put on some of your nails and we absolutely loved it. It was also an educational experience for us because like you said, every design has a story. So being Native Hawaiian as well, being able to talk to my daughter about that and what each print was, it was a special moment for us. And of course, yes, we looked cute after. So yes, thank you. And I feel like these women here sitting next to me, they are just a perfect example of when you know your why, and then when you use your why to fuel and to guide you into your future and guide you into becoming change makers, community builders, and like we say here in Hawaii, as mana wahine. So give these ladies, please, a big round of applause for just sharing their story with us and doing fantastic work in their communities. Now, I do have a couple of questions, and it's a question that I think each and every one of you can answer. I mentioned I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I like to tell her, if you can see her, you can be her. So there are people, I'm sure, who have blazed the trail for you. I would like to know who that person was in your life that did that for you, because at one point you saw her and you thought and you believed I could be her. So who is that for you folks?
There are honestly so many powerful women in my life that have led me to that, especially like my grandmother and my mother, but I'll focus on one because we don't have all night. But I would say my mom for me, she actually didn't get to like learn Hawaiian language herself growing up and really wanted us to have that piece of our identity. And so when we were just babies, she fought to help found the first Hawaiian language immersion school in Kona, where I grew up. And it's because of her that I'm able to actually speak the language and be in touch with my culture. And they had to really fight. They had to go to the legislature. The first teacher that ever worked there didn't get paid for a year. and all of the parents just housed him and fed him. And so, they sacrificed so much so that our generation would be able to reconnect to our Hawaiian culture. And so, yeah, I would say my mom because of that.
Thank you. All right, Nikki.
I would say my older sister, because she was always in my corner and she never doubted that I could do something. And that means everything when you're growing up.
For me, it is still first my dad, because I mean, if we get flu today, we are not able to get up. And my father, fighting from 4 different kinds of cancer at the end of his life, he started a not-for-profit. He raised 3, I mean, myself, my mom, and my sister. He empowered us to the level that now we can just fight with the world and no one dares to mess with us. And and just, he built such an amazing legacy for us. And now it's also my mom who is my co-founder. And I would just like to share a little bit about my mom. So my mom had never worked in her life. She had been a homemaker, married at 21, had her first daughter at 22. And in 2015, when my dad got cancer, he was actually fired. And he was the only earning member of the family. And when we started the not-for-profit, some medical professionals labeled her as the bad wife, because she was not focusing just on her husband and her family, and in fact, building something for others. So today, when I see her, it's just absolutely amazing. And my parents are something that, just keeps me going every second, every day. Thank you.
I had to think about this one for a while because I didn't have a lot of prominent women growing up. So my dad definitely was the influence. But when I worked at the Botanical Garden, the co-founder, Pauline Luckenhouse, I think I thought, if I can see her, I can be her. I was 20 when I started working there, and I didn't really have any experience. And about 2 years in, she was the one who promoted me to executive director. And I remember thinking, like, I don't know anything about this. And she said, you'll figure it out. And so I have a daughter who's 21, and I try and really be that influence since I didn't have that female influence. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I would say my older sister and my mum. I was my older sister's shadow, like very much obsessed with everything she did. I still very much am. And yeah, obviously my mum was always really resilient and strong. And just like a lot of the Aboriginal women in our communities, we carry the community on our back as well as our families. And she also was really like hard-headed, stubborn, and she advocated for destiny custody herself. So there was times that she would support other families that had lost their loved ones and fundraise for them. And yeah, that's why I guess I am where I am today.
Thank you, ladies, for sharing. I too have sisters. And yeah, I know what you mean. You always look up to your older sister and you do everything that they do. You steal all their clothes, or did you do that too? No. But thank you so much for sharing. And then I have just one last question for you folks. It's advice. We have this incredible crowd in front of us today. And maybe they need some inspiration. Maybe they're just fine, but maybe they want to pass on some words of encouragement to maybe their daughters, their nieces, their moms, anybody. So if you can think back to your younger self, what is some advice you wish you got or that you would like to give because it had helped you on your journey?
We actually had we did the mentor session during the week, and we did talk about this a fair bit. And yeah, I guess the feedback that I give back and what I give back to my nieces and my daughters is just be strong in who you are. Like, know where you'll come from in your identity. That's really important in our culture. And there's resilience, but there's also like power in vulnerability. And I think that's really important to be able to like hold space for advocacy, but also hold space for like healing and grief and things like that, which for me, they all sort of like hold simultaneously. So when we are doing work around advocacy and campaigning, or when you're trying to find your purpose, just making space for that and making space for joy. And I think that when you have all of those things combined, it's a really powerful journey, and it makes your job a lot easier.
Absolutely. Feel all the feels, right? Let it all in.
I think I would say don't doubt yourself. And, we don't know what anyone's story is. It was really enlightening listening to everybody up here. And I think almost everybody up here hinted at the fact that they were nervous to start what they were doing. So not doubting yourself and giving it a try would be my advice.
My advice would be to think big, big and bigger, because once you think, like the sky is the limit for you. And once you start thinking that way, you start achieving each and every of your goals.
Well, my advice would be if you ever identify an issue within your community and you find the solution, then it becomes your kuleana, your personal responsibility to step up. I think all too often we wait for others because we have so many reasons why we're not suitable for that role. And I wish everyone the strength to do that. Thank you.
For me, I guess it would be to stay grounded, like really know your identity and who you are. And like I think about what's helped me overcome a lot of challenges and like nerves and imposter syndrome is really just like knowing who I am, who my ancestors are, where I come from, and keeping that, like not letting the world sway me, like keeping my core principles and like my core values and not letting anyone like change that, and just really being who I am. And I think that gives me more stability and confidence to do what I need to do.
Absolutely. Ladies, thank you so much for sharing. Now that was the questions from me, and I wanted to open up the discussion to all of you in the crowd. So if anybody has any questions that they would like to ask anybody here on this panel, please let us know. Oh, we have one here.
Sorry, Kate, can you just explain a little bit more of what you do and how you do it? Okay.
I'll start a little bit about my company, Terraformation. So we're a global ecosystem restoration company, and about 90% of the company focuses on what's called a seed to carbon accelerator. And so we help forest creators around the world solve bottlenecks. We help them with funding, with project design. We basically help organizations all around the world scale. Here in Hawaii, I run a different kind of return on the investment. Carbon credits aren't really economically feasible here in Hawaii as they are in other countries. So basically, I rely a lot on storytelling, like EV nails and philanthropic dollars to work on the projects that I work on. So we work with project partners all around the world to do ecosystem restoration. It depends on the country. So land tenure is a big issue. It could be state land, federal land, government land. So it depends on the country that we're dealing with.
All right, thank you so much for your question. Anybody else? I thought I saw someone there in the back. Perfect.
Hi, my question's also for Kate. I know you said that within the next 10 years, we're going to see a big climate change. And I was just wondering, like, sometimes we feel like that is just so big, but what is something that we can do in our everyday lives that can help decrease that?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think that's something a lot of people ask is like, what can I do personally, right? And there's a lot of little things that we can do in our home. But I think the biggest thing that we could do is get out and volunteer with organizations that are working in restoration or working in watersheds and really putting time in to see what people are doing and working with those organizations. I think somebody had asked about my company, and my company is a for-profit company, and that's deliberate, is because typically people in this type of work go from grant to grant to grant, and they don't have enough funding to scale or to continue the work that they're doing. So having volunteers get out there and help these organizations that are doing tree planting, having volunteer days, that's really important that everybody here can do. There's a ton of other things that we can do to make a difference for climate change, but I think that that's the biggest one. And I also think that that connects you with your community and brings more opportunities to understand what you could do to make a bigger difference.
Thank you so much for the question. Yes. Do we have one here? question?
Well, I was gonna ask Kate to talk about the partnerships that she's created there at the Terraformation headquarters in Kona, and how that kind of helps deliver that, and as well as the seed banks, which are really important.
One particular partnership I think is worthy of talking about. So there's the global company and then the local piece. And so I'm really connected to the Hawaii piece. We have partnered with Arizona State University. It sounds a little strange because we have the University of Hawaii here, and we also work with the University of Hawaii. Arizona State University is on, the cutting edge of sustainability and really mitigating what's happening. I also went to ASU after UH. And so we have a partnership with Arizona State University. Our headquarters is called the Ridge to Reef Restoration Center. And so we have a demonstration site that really shows what it takes to instigate these type of restoration, terrestrial and ocean restoration projects. So at this site, the Ridge to Reef Restoration Center, we have a seed bank. Seeds are one of the biggest bottlenecks when you're talking about native seeds, native trees. You don't just go to Home Depot and buy those plants, right? And so sourcing native seeds is one of the bottlenecks. So we have that. And then our partners, Arizona State University, have the world's largest coral nursery. So why we call it the Ridge to Reef Restoration Center is that one won't be successful without the other. Working on coral restoration, if you don't mitigate things like sedimentation, runoff into the ocean, it's kind of fruitless. So we work on projects together. We work on the land. ASU works on the west side in Kona of the Big Island to restore the reefs.
Thank you so much. Anybody have some questions out there? Right here. This question's for Lee Hao.
So how do you decide which organizations you want to partner with? Are they organizations you come up with? Do organizations come to you? What's that process like?
The first couple that we partnered with were like other local businesses, and they reached out to me. And what I really try to do, it's, in the Changing Faces program, they're really helping me to try and like say no sometimes, because I've learned that my personality is to say yes to everything. But I'm really trying to be intentional and make sure they align with our vision, make sure they're inclusive, make sure we're actually impacting the community in a powerful way. But it is a mix of both. Sometimes I reach out to organizations that I feel are really aligned with our vision or are really special to me. And then sometimes organizations reach out and are a really good fit, and then we work with them that way. So a mix of both.
Thanks for the question. Anybody else have a question? We have one here and one here.
Sorry, hogging a little bit. I want to talk about the free diving a little bit, and how do you get the word out there? How do you set, I know I was just recently talking about this. I have a 22-year-old son. I'm always a little worried he's going to go a little too far, a little too hard with his buddies.
Yeah, we definitely need to get him into a free dive safe course, which are free to the community. We're hosting them around the islands. Getting the word out, we're utilizing avenues on social media, interacting with schools and community groups, canoe clubs, other nonprofits, and it's word of mouth throughout the ocean community. That's the best way for us to bring in the youth to these programs.
Okay, and then we had a question over here as well.
Hi. Has there been any instances where you are pushed to pivot from like your, an original idea, or like, because I'm pretty sure like, in businesses, things happen. So like, can you share a little bit about like how you strategize in mitigating risk, and also how you pivot from something that you might be more comfortable in?
I would like to speak a little bit on it. So when we registered CanFem, it was February 2020. And in March 2020, we all know what happened. The country went into lockdown. We could not open our bank account for 2 months. And when you're working for cancer, your biggest partnerships happen with hospitals, but the entire medical ecosystem, hospitals were just crashing. People were trying to save, the professionals were trying to save people from COVID, and no one was actually seeing what was happening for cancer patients. And at that point, we actually pivoted and we heard what the community wanted. Uh, we could not get their tests or get their surgery scheduled at their home or get hospitals open. But at least what we started was we started online communities of through webinars, through workshops, everything free of cost. And we collaborated with at least 50 cancer advocacy groups in India during 18 months. And we were able to impact more than 10,000 cancer warriors throughout. And if you see my vision statement on day one and you see what it is today, those 18 months transformed it. And I did not write mine. My community did for me. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the question. Anybody else have a question that they'd like to ask? We've got one here in the back and we've got one here in the front.
I am Kiran Peter from Pakistan. I am the executive director and founder of Weaving People to Grow Foundation. We are working for peaceful coexistence in Pakistan through 6 thematic areas, and climate action is one of them. So my question is from Kate, that do you work with other countries as well besides USA and Hawaii?
Yes, we work in 11 different countries right now. So we're not in Pakistan right now, but we are in parts of Asia, Africa, Colombia, so all over the world.
Yeah. And this is a perfect event that we're here. We'll be networking, and I'm sure you ladies will be chatting all about maybe a partnership in the future. So thank you so much for the question. And then we had one here in the back as well.
Hello, hello, hello. First and foremost, I wanted to say that you guys are all truly extraordinary women. It feels as if I'm like looking at the Avengers right now. You guys are all superheroes. Seriously, seriously. But just to get into it, so I myself am a triplet of 2 other women as well. Most of who I am comes from and how I treat women stems from them and being who they are to impact me. So I guess my question is for Miss April Day. What advice can I give to the women in my life to help them push their why to such a global scale that you've managed to achieve to do so?
Thank you. I guess standing in your power, I think it's really easy for like anyone that's like Indigenous, Black or brown to, I guess, be a bit shamed to stand in that. It can be really hard for us to sort of like, example, I was like really praying that you didn't read my full bio, because it's like, yes, we've like created really good things, but it's really hard to be proud of it. So I guess just like acknowledging your greatness, acknowledging where you come from and taking strength from your family, especially the other women around. For us in our community, like our women are the driving force for a lot of the things that we do, especially around advocacy. And when you, I guess, have a purpose and a vision, just stay the course and execute it with your community around you.
Thank you for the question and thank you for sharing. You can hang on to that because there may be another question for you, or maybe another question for anybody here on the panel tonight. Any more questions? We have one here in the front. Thank you. And let's give it up for her. She has been walking around doing her thing, getting a little exercise on tonight. Thank you so much. Okay, go for it.
I would like to also ask April a question. So you have pushed through some pretty significant changes in your community and in your country. And how did you continue through the obstacles that you approached while still staying true to the mission that you were trying to get moved forward?
I think it was, I didn't feel like I had any other choice. The advocacy for deaths in custody was kind of lacking in terms of having family-led advocacy, because for my personal experience, like family-led advocacy is the most important tool, not just in Australia, but anywhere. You know, centering family voices is what is going to achieve the most greatest outcome. But it was a responsibility of like, if I don't do this, someone else could die. And as I mentioned during my first, when I first spoke, you know, 30 years before mum had died, they had used the same law to target our great uncle, which he died from. So you can see that there's like a systemic issue and an intergenerational issue. And yeah, I was like, okay, like my mum's just died. That's obviously really terrible and we're traumatized from it. But what am I going to do with it? And my mum was like really staunch. She was extremely hard-headed. Like she stood up for who she was, like her community. So it was a way to pay homage to her and pay respects to her. And I'm also a mother, and you know, I want to be able to show my daughters how to lead, and to ensure that when they grow up, that it's a safer place for them and all of our family and community.
Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? More questions out there? Sure, anybody? Last question out there? Okay. All right. Now, do you guys want to share any last bit of information? Anything else that you may have missed and you want to touch upon? Good to go. Good to go. All right. Well, give it up for our Gals with Lay panel for tonight. Unveiling why. Purpose to impact. You all did a phenomenal job. Thank you so much for allowing me to be the moderator of tonight's event. And I want to thank all of you out there as well for joining us tonight. Really, it was an inspirational night for me, and I'm sure all of you. So I hope you take their stories and their whys and kind of use that in your own way to live out your true passions, your whys, and to execute them and continue on your journey as well. So thank you so much, everyone. And now we're going to pass things over back to Sarah. Thank you so much.
Well, hello, Rachel, and to our audience for asking so many excellent questions, and to our panelists for your thoughtful responses. While we have reached the end of Q&A, in-person attendees may continue the discussion during open space, an unmoderated and interactive roundtable discussion amongst peers. While the keynote panelists and International 2024 Changing Faces Women will be joining you at the roundtables to answer questions and facilitate discussion, everyone in here is also encouraged to participate and share. Before I say farewell to our viewers online and the center would like to extend a warm mahalo to our moderator, Rachel, and to our keynote panelists, April, Kate, Akriti, Nikki, and Lee Howe. Mahalo as well to our, oh yes, round of applause. Mahalo as well to our partners, Hawaii Technology Development Corporation, our hosts at the Entrepreneur Sandbox this evening, under my umbrella, JWI Ecosystem, Hawaii P20, Gear Up Hawaii, and Okazuma, our chef for the evening. Finally, thank you to our viewers online for attending this Gals with Lay Global webinar. We hope today's discussions have left you with a sense of leadership, entrepreneurship, and inspiration. And to all of our in-person attendees, I will see you at Open Space. The keynote panelists will be joining you, so jump in and get to know each other. Thank you.